So welcome along to A Story to Tell with me, Richard Beauvoisin. This is mainly taken from my Radio Bath show every Thursday morning from 10 until 12. If you do like it, don't forget to subscribe, share it to others and let everyone know all about Radio Bath. Hope you enjoy it. Good morning, everybody. It's Richard Beauvoisin here, right until midday today. Oh, amazed by Lone Star there. Thank you, Gerald. I always enjoy a little chat now before we start. It's kind of like one of my highlights of my week is actually chatting to Gerald. I think I need to get a better life, if I'm honest with you, if that is one of the highlights of my week. Just thinking about that anyway. I'm saying this out loud, aren't I? Just remembering that too. Anyway, good morning. My guest today is Chantal Cornelius. She's a marketing expert. And if you want any questions about marketing, she's got a fascinating story. If you want any questions about marketing or anything that comes to mind, then text BARS followed by a message to 80011, or you can email studio@radiobath.com. We're here right until midday today. Good morning, everybody. Firework by Katy Perry. It's Radio Bath. It's Richard Beauvoisin here until midday today. It's a story to tell until midday. My guest today is Chantal Cornelius. Good morning, Chantal.
Morning, Richard.
There we go. Do you know what? Last time I did a Zoom thing, I had a setting wrong, so I had to press a button over here. The entire show, which was 2 hours I was talking for, and I realised that all that time I was leaning on the desk on my forearm and I lost feeling in two of my fingers for a week. So that's the dedication that I have to doing this show.
That's impressive dedication. I'm amazed. Well done. But you're not having to do that today, are you?
Today I've clicked a button and you can now hear me and I can hear you. So life is good. Life is good. So, I'm ready. I'm going to do your Desert Island Discs intro straight away. Okay. Do you know what? I say that every time, and then I think, I wonder if they've copyrighted that it's a Desert Island Discs intro.
Probably.
And I wonder if the BBC are going to come after me saying, you can't call it a... Let's move on, shall we? Okay, so are you ready for this? Today I'm joined by someone who's been helping coaches and consultants stand out for more than 25 years. She's the founder of Apple Tree Marketing, a straight-talking author and speaker who believes great marketing isn't about shouting louder, it's about connecting better. Please welcome my guest, Chantal Cornelius.
That's a cool intro. I like that. Can I borrow that, please?
Of course you can. I'll send it over to you. I wrote it myself, honest. Now, first of all, I put a post out to a number of different Facebook groups, and somebody came back saying, great names. So my name is Richard Beauvoisin, which is a French surname, and your name, if you can say it for everybody, please, in the correct way.
The way my mother liked to pronounce it was Chantal, because it is French.
Okay. And the classic question is, are you French?
Non, je suis pas française.
Oh, it sounds like you can speak French, though.
A little bit, yeah. It's actually going to be the title of my autobiography, I Am Not French.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's a great title, actually. We're going to talk about you writing later.
It was, it was a question I was asked many years ago. What would be the title of your autobiography? So I came up with I'm Not French, because I do get asked a lot, are you French? No.
Yeah, likewise. I was actually showing my daughter our family tree actually a couple of days ago. And and Louis Armand, he came over in 1785, i.e. the French Revolution. He escaped. Apparently it's quite a noble family back in France, but I'm anything but noble.
Oh, you are. You must have nobility in there somewhere. My history isn't quite that exciting. The name, when my mum was pregnant with me, she was working in Hong Kong in a nursery, and there was a little French girl there called Marie Chantal, and she just liked the name.
Okay.
And so I got it. So I did a few years ago find a ski slope in France called Marie Chantal. So I have a photo of me in my ski gear standing underneath the sign. So But yeah, that's it. And the Cornelius bit, my dad was American, and we think that was Dutch immigrants going from Holland to California, probably Gold Rush era, and that's where that came from. So that's why I have this wonderful combination of a name.
Chantal Cornelius. I don't know why I did that accent. I was having a conversation with my wife. We'll get on to you in a second, by the way. I was having a conversation with my wife about accents this morning, and I've been on stage for many, many years, and I do quite a few accents. Apparently, I'm not bad at doing them, and I always do them. And a bit like like John Coleshaw, he's doing voices of other people, and he always does it with love. And that's how I always do it. But in the PC world that we live in these days, apparently people take offence to the fact if you do a Scottish or a Welsh or a West Country accent, if you go down that route, you see, then people think you're speaking like Hagrid. And people get offended by it.
I think they do if it's their accent. We've just, my partner and I have just had a lovely week away in Wales, and before we went, we actually went to an adult acting class, which is all about accents. We do and professional speaking, so we thought, we'll go along for a bit of fun. So while we were in Wales, I was practicing my Welsh accent.
That's very good.
South Wales. Apologies to any Welsh listeners if I got that wrong, but I was very aware of not putting that accent on while there were Welsh people around, because I thought I may offend them because it sounds a bit like I'm taking the mickey. If you're doing it on stage or you're doing it as part of an improv show, I think that's okay. Just be prayerful and practice. Get good at whichever accents you do, because some accents I'm rubbish at. I can do Berkshire, it's because I live here.
Okay,
that's sort of Berkshire, but practice.
There's certain accents I struggle with. The Geordie accent I can't do for love nor money. South African I find really difficult. Michael McIntyre does a brilliant South African accent.
There are actually clever ways of learning how to do them, and that's what the course was teaching us. We didn't have very long, and there are different classifications of accents which I can't remember. There's also a whole library online. You can I can't remember what that's called either, but you can look up online and listen to accents from different parts of the world, country, whatever, and practice them if you're really that keen.
I think that's called YouTube. Well,
there is that, yeah, but no, there is an official library of recorded accents, so they've all been verified as the correct accent from that place, rather than just somebody pretending to be from Newcastle or wherever.
Fair enough. Anyway, we're not here to talk about accents. We're here to talk about you. And you're a marketeer. That's your official title, I believe. But we want to find out, first of all, a bit about your story. And I'm going to set it up really simply in that you fell off a horse.
I did. I fell off a horse and landed up in a job in marketing.
Right.
I was spending 3 years post-university wandering about, not really knowing what to do with myself, and I loved horses and thought, I know, I'll go and work with horses for a year. And a year turned into 3, and after 3 years I'd got it out of my system by then, much to my mother's relief, and I thought I need to go and find a job. But I'd come out of university, this is back in the mid-90s, and I had no computer skills, so to get a job even a basic office job wasn't going to happen. I enrolled on a course in Oxford where I was living near there, and learnt how to do touch typing and use things like Microsoft Word. And while I was there, I did some temping for them, and the chap who owned the college where I was doing that course also owned a private business college in Oxford. And he said to me one day, "Would you like a job in marketing?" And I said, "What's marketing?" And he said, "You've been writing press releases for me, haven't you? And designing posters to promote the centre and the courses." And I went, "Yeah." He said, "That's marketing." I said, "Oh, okay then." And he offered me what I thought at the time was a silly amount of money, and it was a job, so I took it. And I discovered very quickly that I absolutely loved doing it. It was very different back then because social media didn't exist, thank goodness. But yeah, I just discovered I loved it. So I've been doing marketing it's about 30 years now.
It's about 30. And I say, it has evolved massively, hasn't it? So I run my own dance business, and I spend hours every day marketing effectively, because that's what you do. That's when you run any business, the only way it carries on is by getting new people in the door. And that's the bit that makes the difference. So, I have the pleasure of meetings with Facebook and all sorts of stuff. It's great fun, or not, as the case may be. I actually chatted to Facebook yesterday because I was like, they update their stuff. We're going to talk about social media a bit later on, but they update their things all of the time. So no matter if you think you're up to date with it, you never are. And I chatted to one of their marketing pros, as they're officially titled. And within about 20 seconds or so, I realised I knew probably 10 times what she did. Yeah. And I was like, this is just a waste of my time. But there was another thing she needed to do for me, which she then did, which was helpful. But yeah, actually her knowledge was almost nothing.
Yeah, because she's not running a business and using Facebook to promote that business. She might know the technology behind it, but otherwise, anyway, we can talk more about why you shouldn't be wasting time on social media to promote your dance classes later.
Oh, we will absolutely do that, probably actually in the next link, possibly. But yeah, so we're going to come back on to actually what you do and how you can help people. Obviously, you're not based in the Bath area, but I'm guessing you're online for a lot of your help as well.
I am, yeah. I live near Newbury in Berkshire. Since COVID, I've been doing a vast amount of work online, to the point now I have clients all around the world, and I provide mentoring services to clients literally all over the world at weird times of the day and night. But I do also have local clients who come and see me, and I do a lot of local networking in the Thames Valley area.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to find out lots more. Now, you've chosen most of the music today. You've chosen Brave by Sarah, I don't know how to say it, Bareilles?
Sarah Bareilles.
There we go. Why this track then?
I first heard that track at an event where I'd been invited to speak, and they played it at the start, and it gave me, like most speakers, I get really nervous before I go on stage, and I've learned to harness the nerves, but I heard this track and it gave me a real boost. And then in April last year, I was invited to open a conference in London. And I used this track as my walk-on music. And I spent a lot of time rehearsing, playing the music on my headphones, walking up and down to get the timing absolutely spot on so that I could get onto stage at exactly the right moment. And it was just, it got me going, but it also got the audience going, and it set the tone for the day, because I was speaking to a group of professional speakers and saying, come on, be brave, speak out about what you want to speak out about, be brave with your marketing and your presence. And so it's a real lift me up song. And there are still people saying to me over a year and a half later, I still remember the opening of that conference, and that music inspires me. So
well, here we go. Here it is, Brave by Sarah Bareilles. Back with Chantal very shortly.
You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast, to be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way the words do when they settle neath your skin. Kept on the inside and no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins.
Back for the second part now. It's Richard Beauvoisin here until midday today with Chantal Cornelius. I have a chap that comes in 4 times a year, Chantal, called Ben Buttigieg. Okay, and he's my kind of science expert. We're going to be talking about AI in a couple of weeks' time. He's back on. We've done electric cars, solar panels. We've done loads of different bits and pieces. Anyway, every time he comes on, I'm like, Ben Buttigieg, and I can't say his name in the same way twice. He's a really good friend of mine, and I feel like I'm going down the same route with you. But there we go. Okay. So.
That's fine, as long as you say the Chantal bit and you don't call me Chantel.
Chantal. Not too keen on that then, darling.
No, not at all. Not at all. Or Chantal.
Do you know what? There's obviously my name's Richard, and I'm generally known as Richard. But there's one person in the world that calls me Richie, and he gets away with it. He's an old RAF friend of mine, he's the only person in the world that gets away with it. Everybody else, I correct them.
Good. Yeah, I often do with mine too. So.
Yeah,
but I like it when people ask, as you did, how should I pronounce your name? That's nice. You get star points for doing that.
Oh, do I? Oh, that's nice. Good.
Well, you do, but anyone who asks me how to pronounce my name they get star points. Too.
Lovely. Right. So you've been in marketing for 25 years. I've also run a business for over 25 years myself now, and how's it been? How did you actually start then? I know you started working in the marketing area, but what made you start your actual business yourself?
I set the business up because I'd worked for the private college in Oxford for a couple of years. I then got headhunted by a training company in Oxford, and that was my dream job. I absolutely loved it. And the mean so-and-sos made me redundant after 11 months. A few months later, actually, their salespeople quit and the business folded. That's another story.
You were so gutted about that, weren't you?
I was actually, yeah, I was. And the business had been going for a long time, but it really showed me that you have to do marketing no matter what. I ended up working for another company in Oxford. I took a fairly major pay cut, and it was a job that I didn't really enjoy doing. It was marketing, but it wasn't the sort of marketing I wanted to be doing. And people had been saying to me for a few years, why don't you set up your own business? When I lost my dream job, I didn't have the confidence then to set up on my own. But after 18 months with this other company, I just thought one day, you know what, I've had enough of this. My boss was actually off on long-term sick leave, and I had no support while I was in the company. Nobody really cared about marketing. I spent quite a lot of time fiddling around, not really doing very much and being paid for it. And I thought I would rather set up on my own and go and help more people rather than trying to help this one company. So I did. I leapt from a full-time, okay-ish paid job into running my own business. Left on the Thursday, picked up the new dog on Friday, sat down at my desk on Monday and went, oh, okay, I'm running a business. What do I do now?
So I've got the most important question. What was the dog's name?
The dog was called Megan.
Okay.
She was a 6-year-old border collie. My husband had said, we can't have a dog. We're both out at work all day. So I said, well, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to work from home. And I'd mentioned to a friend at work that we were looking for a dog, and she knew about Megs, who was looking for a new home. And so we'd been to see her, so we knew that she was right for us, and we'd had a day with her. So yeah, I picked her up on Friday, and Megs was with me right from the start of the business.
Amazing. How did it feel starting the business? Because I did the classic thing which a lot of people do, and that is I ran my business in conjunction with having a normal job, and then eventually once my new business became too big, I had to give up the normal job because I couldn't compete. But both couldn't happen at the same time. Yeah. But you've gone from being employed to completely brand new by yourself. That's a big decision.
Yeah, and I'm glad I did it, because I see an awful lot of people struggling when they're doing a full-time job and they're trying to run a business as well, and it just doesn't work. You're better off being part-time and running a business. I was lucky back then. I had the financial support of my now ex-husband, who was working full-time, had a very well-paid job. So I had support from him, but I was still very driven. So it wasn't a case of me sitting there going, oh well, I don't need to earn any money because I've got money from him. He lent me some money at the start, and I knew I had to pay that back. So, and I knew that I had to get the business up and running. I had to earn money in order to buy the dog food, and I had a horse at the time, and pay for the horse. So I think that having the financial buffer was useful. Couldn't have done it without his help, but I was still very driven. I've always been very driven and competitive. I'm like, I'm going to make this work. So, yeah.
And you did. And ironically, the thing you needed to make marketing business work is marketing. So presumably you followed your own plan.
Sort of. The first thing I did was talk to a graphic designer who I was already working with, and she created a logo and business card for me. And she also created a leaflet, which I started sending out. What I was working as a freelance copywriter, basically, back then. So I put together, with a list of Yell.com, I put together a list of marketing agencies, PR companies, and I would phone them up and say, do you need an extra pair of hands? Do you need a freelance writer? And some of them said, no, thank you. Some of them said, yes, please send me some information. Some of them said, we'll put you on file, which means, no, thank you, go away and leave us alone. So I sent out the leaflet, and I then did follow-up phone calls. And that's what got me the work that I got for the first 18 months. It was hard work. It was hard slog, because I was effectively making cold calls to people who'd never heard of me. It all changed one day when I phoned an amazing lady called Jan who ran a marketing company. And I phoned and said to her, do you need any marketing? Do you need a freelance copywriter? And she said, no, but have you heard of networking? I was like, I don't understand the question. The company I'd left, and actually the marketing diploma I'd done previously, didn't talk about networking. My boss went networking on the golf course. That was his way of networking. Jan invited me to a local business networking event, and there were probably 20, 30 people there. And we all sat around and said, well, this is who I am and what I do, and here's the challenge I've got. And half of them, their challenge was something to do with marketing. There were actually people who brought along a leaflet and said, what do I do with this? And I went, well, I'm a copywriter, I could help you. I picked up work from that first meeting. And so I discovered that actually networking was the way to get business. And I just did loads of it. I still do. Because when you provide a service like copywriting, marketing, coaching, consulting, people buy from other people. They don't buy from social media. We'll come on to that later. So for me to go out and network and meet people and go, well, I could help you with that. Or would you like some advice? So that's what happened. So yeah, I kind of dropped doing the cold calling and the mail shots, focused on the networking.
So it sounds to me like you found, and this is the key thing, isn't it? Each business is different, and you've got to find which marketing angle works for that business. So for you personally, networking was the thing that made your business work.
Yeah, and when you run a service business, it's actually the same for all of us. Referrals, networking, and speaking. I say to all of my clients, those are the only marketing tools that will ever actually bring you new business. And then there's content. I have an ABC of marketing, and C is for content, so like writing articles and newsletters. But when you provide a service, I measure my marketing on a regular basis. 33% of my business comes from referrals, 33% comes from networking, and 33% comes from me speaking at an event or being on a radio show or a podcast. And the other 1% comes from other bits and pieces. But yeah, it's the same for every service business. It is always the same, which is why social media doesn't work.
Well, we're going to come on to social media because, you know, I spend quite a lot of money on social media for my dance business. And, you know, not wishing to use your services live on the radio, but we might use my business as a mock example of how should I market my business.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do that.
We'll do that in the next part for you, okay? But what I'd love to know now is, like, over the last 25 years, I'd love to know how much marketing has changed for you. Because I think back in the days when I used to advertise, you know, the little postage stamp in a newspaper and get, you know, and I used to look at it going, why am I doing that? And it never brought anything. And I'd get these phone calls and it would cost a few £100 and you'd get nothing from it. But you thought, well, surely this is what I must be doing because everybody else is doing it. So how's it changed over the last 25 years for you?
The tools have changed, but the principles haven't. The principles of marketing and selling are still the same. It's about building up relationships, which is why networking and referrals work. The tools that we have, there are now squillions of them. And like I said, when I first set up my business, we didn't have social media. We didn't even have email newsletters. They came along probably 3, 4, 5 years into me having set up the business. So back in the olden days, we wrote press releases, we sent out leaflets, we put up posters, and we had websites. Where it's changed is we now do have access through social media and websites and podcasts and all the other tools. We have a way of getting into a much bigger and more expanded audience. You know, I have clients all around the world because I can network with them online and I can deliver the service to them online. You know, we didn't have all this lovely Zoom stuff all those years ago. Where it's really changed, I think now, is there are so many more tools that we can use. I meet a lot of people who are in total overwhelm because there are so many tools to choose from. They don't know where to start. And we're being bombarded all the time by people saying, oh, you must do SEO, you must be on Facebook, you must be here, there and everywhere. And people, like with those adverts, I remember getting phone calls from people saying, oh, I'm putting together a calendar for a charity, and I've got the adverts all around the outside of the wall planner. Would you like to pay £200 to be on there? And we go, oh yeah, okay, it's only 200 quid. And it doesn't work. But it's still happening now because people are still saying, oh, it'll only cost you £200 to run this Facebook advert, and we end up, if we're not careful, chucking lots of little bits of money at marketing tools that don't work. So,
well, we're definitely going to come on to social media shortly, because one of the things which I always remember is Jeffrey Archer, the novelist. I remember many years ago, he turned round to his publisher and said, "Oh, you know, I've got a new book coming out. Am I going on a world book tour?" And they said, "No, it's okay. You've got X million people on Twitter," as it was at the time. "You've got 140 characters. There we go. World book tour's done."
Yeah. He had the added advantage of already being famous.
Yes.
Those of us who are not yet famous, who are working on it, we don't have that following. But also, he has the added advantage. He's selling a book, and everybody in the world knows what a book is. It's tangible. It's a product. We can look at a Jeffrey Archer book compared to a Dick Francis and go, "No, I want this one, not that one." When you sell a service like dance classes, marketing consultancy, there's no thing. It's not tangible. And this is where this is why I've always focused on working with service businesses. I don't do products and widgets. If somebody comes to me and says, "Can you help me sell this widget?" No, I can't. It's different marketing. So yeah, when you're selling a book, it's easy. You go online, or you go to a bookshop, you order and pay for the book. You get the product. So it's different marketing.
It is very different. We're going to come on to that in the next part. Now, you've chosen the next song, Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Why is this song then?
Oh, why is this one? I love her attitude. Every time I look at pictures of Miley Cyrus, she looks different. Sometimes she looks like the girl next door, and sometimes she looks like something really quite funky. I just love her slightly gutsy, ballsy attitude. So.
She is grand, right? We'll be listening to that now, and then we're back with Chantal, very shortly.
We were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. We were right till we weren't. Built a home and watched it burn. I didn't want to leave you, I didn't want to lie. Started to cry, but then remembered I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, see things you don't understand.
Time for the next part now with Cornelius Chantal. I'm doing it the other way round just for a change.
Okay.
Or Chantal Cornelius. Let's go down that route, shall we? She's a marketeer, and we've been chatting so far about your journey into it. And we're now going to use my business as a test case to see what you could actually do, not just for me, but for anybody else, I suppose, and see what they would do. So I'm going to put myself into your hands right now. Imagine I'm now a client of yours. What do you want to know?
I would like to know a little. Tell me a little bit about the business, about the dance classes that you run.
Okay, so we run 5 dance classes a week in Salisbury. At the moment, Melksham, because Bradford-on-Avon's still flood damaged. We will go back to Bradford-on-Avon. Bath, Swindon and Chippenham. From Monday through to Thursday, we then have weekend events as well. During the weekdays, it's class nights. So we run beginner classes and intermediate classes, and then have practice time afterwards. And the main thing about it is that it's for adults, and that my goal to do it is to make people happy.
Okay. And what type of dancing is it?
So it's called Sarok, so it's partner dancing. So Sarok is effectively a fusion of all dances. Easiest way to imagine it, though, is imagine the salsa dance, but then without salsa music and without worrying too much about the footwork.
Okay. All right. Love that description, by the way. That's really good. Okay. What marketing have you done that works? What has worked for you in the past?
So in the past, we used to do something called busks, which is where we would dance in the street and hand out leaflets. Okay. And then a number of years ago, that stopped working quite dramatically. Literally fell off a cliff, that it just stopped working. Whether it was the footfall we had or the The leaflets were still fine, in my opinion. They were doing what they needed to do. But it cost quite a lot of money to run a bus because we'd have to get a lot of people in to help. And then people just didn't come along from them. We didn't get the results.
Okay. What sort of, how many new clients, dancers are you looking for every week, month, year?
So to make that, we always use the leaking bucket analogy. So people come in at the top, but then they drop off at the bottom because of illness, moving away, whatever it may be. So ideally, if I had an ideal, it would be 5 new members each night, every single week for each venue.
At each venue, okay.
Yeah. So 25 new members per week would be the ideal.
Per venue.
So five new members per venue per week.
Okay. So that's quite a lot of people. The reason I'm asking all these questions is when I work with clients, I get them thinking about the strategic elements of marketing. I have a mantra of strategy before tactics. Too many people jump into the tactical side of marketing of what marketing am I actually going to be doing before thinking about where they are with their business, what makes it different, how many new clients they want, and all of that. And that's one of the big areas for saving time. For you, and this is, normally I spend a lot more time thinking about this, but for you, top tips, given the number of people you're looking for and the type of people for this fabulous dancing, the first thing I would do is be talking to your existing dancers and ask them who else they know who they would like to invite along.
Yeah, so we
to keep doing this.
So we have an ongoing offer of bring a new member and both get in free.
Okay.
So they can go to their friends and say, you can come along, and they get the added benefit of getting in for free themselves that night as well.
Okay. So keep doing that, but you've got to keep doing it, and you need to keep changing the wording, because as humans, we are too good at glazing over when we've heard something a few times. So jazz it up, change it, however you put the message out, make it different, make it a bit more fun and funky. Every now and then, change it completely. So I don't know, you might say bring a friend and get a free something.
Okay.
You might need to chuck in an incentive, or
we could do pens.
Or no, it's got to be something interesting and useful. It could be something fun and silly. It could be get a free pom-pom, get a free. I've got cheerleading pom-poms. Don't ask, in the office. Or a free one-to-one lesson, or that sort of thing. Bring 5 friends and get a free one-to-one or a voucher for something.
Yeah. So we have done that on the odd occasion. Normally once a year we do the person that can bring the most amount of new members in a particular month will then get free entry for an X period.
Okay.
So we kind of have the same offer but in a different way.
Yeah. You could run that over a quarter, over 6 months, over a year. So you then kind of do an annual award. Do you do any sort of, you've talked about the busks, but do you do any other special events, or is it just the dance classes on a weekly basis?
So we have weekend events as well, which are known as freestyles. So that's where the people that learn how to dance then go along, and simply there's music playing, and we hire a hall, often sometimes different halls. So for instance, once a year we have the Guild Hall in Bath, which is a very glamorous building. We have a whole day event there type thing. So we do lots of big events like that.
Okay. Those, I love the idea of having something a bit big and glamorous, because those would be the ones that if you've got people who are constantly bringing new members, they need some big reward at that event. It may be that they get free entry, or they get some sort of an award, and you're actually publicly thanking them, because that we love, as humans, we love to be thanked, and we love it done publicly. So just turning up and going, oh yeah, okay, I get in free because I brought a friend with me, that's nice. But to be publicly thanked as this person has brought the most people, or a free glass of champagne, or whatever you're doing. So think about what else you can do. You mentioned earlier about helping people to feel happy. Think about what else you can do to help people feel special.
Okay.
so that you are treating them with a huge dose of love, joy, and respect. It's not just about coming and learning to dance. It's all about how people feel when they work with us.
Yeah,
So
I had the pleasure on Tuesday. I was teaching in Swindon, which I don't normally teach at because I normally have another teacher there. And I happened to be leaving I was in the reception area when a number of the new people, I think we had 6 new people on Tuesday. They all seemed to kind of leave at the same time, which is quite normal. And they all just left with the biggest smile I've ever seen on their faces. And it reminded me of why why I've been running the business for so long. You know, people will say, "Oh, you're going to be a millionaire out of it." I'm not. You know, I've always known that, and that's never a problem. But it's more about that I can literally see people happy as they're leaving.
Love it.
And that's the key part.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can get photos and videos of those happy people, that's really useful marketing. If you can get a video testimonial from somebody as they are leaving their very first event, and you're saying to them, you know, you just point your phone at them and say, do me a quick, how are you feeling? Capture that, because that is fabulous marketing. You know, you might have people who come along and go, well, I was a bit nervous, but I feel amazing. And ask them how they feel as a result of spending time at the class, and you use that. The other big part of marketing I would encourage you to look at is, you talked earlier about your leaking bucket. I would look at how to stop the leaks. Yes, people will move away, they'll have injuries, they'll go off and have babies or whatever. But think about what else you can do to be keeping in touch with your existing customers, to keep them coming back. We spend too much time as business owners, a lot of us, rushing off looking for new customers and not looking after the existing ones. So this is where doing events where you thank people, if there's a mini competition, and even if it's for the fanciest shoes, think about what you can do to make people smile, to encourage them to keep coming back. The new people who come, I don't know if you do any follow-up with them. Good. Make sure you do. Make sure you're in touch with them to say, are you coming next week? What else can we do for you? Yeah,
they get an immediate 2 emails from us, which has what's coming up for them next week as well. And a list of all of the moves and videos of all the moves as well that they're going to learn. So we try and take the fear factor out of it for them. We really do. I love the fact a minute ago that you asked me a question and I nodded, which was great for radio. It really was great for radio. But thank you for covering that up. We're going to have a little break for the news, because we're going to come back and then discuss about my social media output on this as well. Okay. So yeah, back with Cornelius after the news at 11.
We'll do it all, everything on our own. We don't need anything or if I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? I don't quite know how to say
Richard Beauvoisin here, right until midday today with my guest Chantal Cornelius. She's a marketeer. We've been talking about it all morning so far. We're going to go right through until 12 o'clock today. And we're moving on now to one of my favourite topics, which is social media. Is it one of your favourite topics, Chantal?
If I can talk about how not to use it or why not to use it, then yes, absolutely.
Okay, shall I tell you first of all how I use social media?
Yes, for your dance classes.
For my dance classes, okay. So we spoke before about doing busks and they didn't really work. And then I looked at the principle of the marketing behind what I was doing. And that is I wanted to show them the product and give them the information. That was my two basic principles that I was doing there. And we were doing it live and giving them a leaflet. Okay. So I then looked at it, and obviously social media then came on board in that I can show them a video of what we're doing and it has the information. So it can kind of do it whilst I'm sat in my seat, and it can go to many more people in many more towns all of the time.
Yeah.
And therefore I looked at it from a marketing perspective from what I do and thought, well, this seems to work. And to a large degree, it does for me, because I get lots and lots of leads from it. And I have somebody that works for me that then converts those leads into actually being a personal person that then contacts them directly. Okay. So, but I do spend quite a lot of money with Facebook. Our marketing or our market people is Facebook. It's not TikTok or anything, because they're generally 30 and above. So that's more the Facebook market. So that's why I spend quite a lot of money with Facebook. But tell me if I'm doing it right or if there's a better way.
Okay, question for you. Is it bringing you enough of the right type of people? Because we talked earlier about how you'd like 5 new people at each event. Is it bringing you that number of people?
No.
How many does it bring you?
It varies massively, if I'm honest with you. So some weeks are very successful and some venues will get 8 to 10 new members, other times 0. So it's very sporadic. It's not the only marketing I do, I have to say. I've been over the years, I've realised that each little bit makes a difference. And you can't just do one silver bullet of marketing that doesn't exist. So I do lots of different things as well, but this is probably the main place I spend my time and my money.
Yeah. When new people come to try out a class, are you actually asking them and tracking, how did you hear about us?
Yes.
So you know exactly where they've come from. Okay, that's really good. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. They don't actually ask, but you're doing it, so that's good. Okay, the fact that it's sporadic says to me that it's not working as well as it could do, and it sounds like you're spending quite a lot of money doing it. The challenge I like the fact that you're only using Facebook. Too many people go all over the place. I think the thing with dancing, and you hit on it earlier, is that there's the fear factor. There are people who are going, oh, well, I might make an idiot of myself, or I don't know how to do it, therefore I don't think I want to give it a go. It's a very deep emotional issue, and trying to get somebody over that emotional hiccup of I might make a complete idiot of myself, that's never going to work through a Facebook advert. It's going to work because a friend says, it doesn't matter if you make an idiot of yourself, because I'll be there to make an idiot of myself too. Now, if you had videos like that on Facebook of 2 of your dancers chatting about how they felt like a complete twit the first time they came, and a friend brought them along and it was a load of fun, that will help people get through that. You almost need videos of people dancing badly to show that it doesn't matter if you don't know how to do this, because almost doing it really well, if I saw videos of people dancing really well, I'd go, well, I can't do that. I'm not good enough for that. I hear people say, oh, I can't go to a yoga class because I'm not flexible enough. That's the whole point of going to a yoga class, is to get more flexible.
I always use the analogy when people say that, I can't come dancing because I can't dance. And I always say, well, I can't speak Spanish, so that's why theoretically I go to Spanish lessons to be able to speak Spanish. Exactly. I have to say I still haven't been to those Spanish lessons, but that's a different matter entirely.
Yes, don't tell them that. Yeah, that's exactly it. The people come to your classes to learn to dance, but also it's not just about learning to dance, it's about having fun. It's about walking out at the end of the evening with a flippin' great smile on their face, going, woohoo, that was great fun. The endorphins are flying around, and I had a right giggle about it. And I laughed at the silly outfits that people were wearing. So I think the more of that you can weave into your social media, the better. So
it's quite interesting. So what you're saying there, because there's another dance form called West Coast Swing that has an enormous presence online. And there are all the professionals that go across the world and it's them dancing all of the time and they look incredible and everyone goes, I want to do that. But I was chatting to a lady that runs a West Coast swing class. She said the trouble is it's almost like we're advertising something we don't do, and that you've got all these young beautiful people doing it, and then you turn up and you've got a bunch of 60-year-olds that can't dance in a community centre, and it's not quite the same product.
And therefore people will come and they won't stay. Whereas with yours, if you're showing them a bunch of normal people having some fun, tripping over, standing on each other's toes, whatever goes on, and laughing about it, then when people come and experience that, they'll be looking and going, I want some of that. If I was going to come, I can't dance. I would love to learn.
Yet.
If I was going to do that, I don't want to go to a place where there are professionals who will make me look like a complete two left-footed idiot. I want normal people. I'm part of a local speaking club in Newbury, and it's the same. Some people won't come because they think other people are too good, and we're all saying, no, we're all learning. You're on the journey too. So it's about taking people on the journey from wherever you are to getting better, but definitely not over-promising. If you promise to... I've just been writing a newsletter about this, actually. I have a client who was promised top rankings on through SEO and first page of Google, and their SEO consultant got them there, but they weren't getting enough inquiries through. So it's about, don't over promise. Don't try to sell something that you can't actually sell. Make it more normal. And that is why marketing like referrals and networking work better, in my humble opinion of doing it for quite a long time, because you can have conversations with people. You can say, look, this is what it's actually about. This is what we do, rather than trying to show something massive transformation.
So show them the real product. Is that what you're saying, basically? So, okay, so I've got
them the people and the real product.
So I've got two things that I want to know then. So, I have done those videos before, showing a real class. And actually people, and it didn't all go perfectly. So I have done that before, and I might look at doing that again. Something else I've done when you're talking about referrals, though, and again, tell me if this is a good thing or not, is I've got the advert as such that shows, our dancing and whatever it may be and the details on there. And then I've asked our population to share that to all of their people on social media with a referral saying why they love it. Is that a good idea?
Yes and no. Most people won't do it, because we're being asked multiple times a day to recommend everything that we do. I get messages from whichever software I sign up to saying, oh, would you forward this? Would you share? No, I haven't got time to promote everything that I buy. So asking people to share, like, comment, I'm tempted to say it's a waste of time, because we end up asking people and then we get frustrated because they don't share, and they go, well, why haven't you shared? Well, because we're all busy sharing everything else. So I think you'd be better off talking to your dancers, giving them a funky little leaflet at a dance class and say, go and give this one leaflet to one friend. If each of them brought one friend next time, you have double the number of people. And then it's very much about the follow-up. You mentioned earlier that you send out emails. I would encourage you to get on the phone, have phone conversations with somebody, because an email, you've got no guarantee that it's getting through. You've got no guarantee that they're reading it. It's too easy for us to go, oh, delete, yeah, I'll deal with that later. But a phone call or a voice message saying, it was really lovely to have you at the lesson. Are you coming next week? Is there anything you're not sure about?
So I've always found that type of thing quite uncomfortable for me personally, because I find like I'm intruding on their time and they don't know. It's a bit like cold calling. They don't know I'm calling them. They don't necessarily want to take the phone call. So it might go the other way, in that they say, actually, you're being a bit too pushy.
Yeah, and it won't, because it doesn't. Because as human beings, we love it when somebody phones up and says, I was thinking about you.
Okay.
How are you feeling after the class? And you're not phoning up to say, can I sell you hundreds of classes? You're phoning up to say, how was it? Did you have fun? Are we seeing you again next week? We are as humans, and especially us Brits, we are very good at expecting to get rejection. Oh, somebody will tell us no, and then they'll get really annoyed, and then they'll hate us forever. It doesn't happen that way. If they don't want to take the call, they won't take the call. Always leave a message. Leave a chatty, cheerful message of, it was great to see you. Hope we see you next week. Give me a call if you have any questions.
Love it.
Nice and short and simple.
Well, we haven't really got on to why you don't like social media yet, so we're going to have a look. Because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work when you are selling a service.
Okay.
Because there is no emotional connection in social media. And I know you can put out videos, but you can't have a conversation with somebody. You can't actually say to somebody, what are you worried about? Why are you nervous about coming to a class? What's stopping you? I also don't like social media because so many people will tell you it works and they will charge you a fortune for it, and then they'll be surprised when it doesn't work. And it was like when you said earlier on about, I think you were talking about doing adverts back in the olden days, and you did them because everybody did them. And it's the same with social media. I regularly meet people who say, oh, well, you have to do it because everyone's doing it, don't you? No, you don't. It's not trial and error. I meet people who say, well, you have to try everything and work out what works. No, you don't. Talk to a marketing consultant who's been doing it for 25 years, who will tell you what works and what doesn't.
Well, one of the things we haven't mentioned so far is if people were interested in chatting to you, how they get in contact. It might be a good time to do that now, really.
Yeah, you can't find me on social media.
No.
If you look for me on LinkedIn is the only social media platform I use, and I am the only Chantal Cornelius with my spelling, Chantal, only one in the UK. So you can find me on LinkedIn. My website is appletreeuk.com, and my email address is there. My phone number's there. Pick up the phone, give me a call, and we'll have a chat.
Brilliant. Now we're going to be chatting about one of my favourite topics in the world right now, which is AI. We're going to be finding about AI and marketing coming up after this. Okay. But I'm actually going to play a song for my wife who's listening, and she very, very rarely listens, but she's travelling right now. So I thought I'd play a song for her. Back with Chantal right after this. What a beautiful song that is. Lewis Capaldi, Someone You Loved. I'm here with Chantal Cornelius. We're talking all about marketing and about social media and going to different events. I'm due to go to an event next week, actually, a networking event. The issue that I have is that what do I go along as? Because I have my dance business. I'm on the radio, so I love to get guests for the radio. I'm also wanting to get into charity auctioneering more, and also writing my book, which we're going to talk about in the last section. So I'm like going along going, who am I?
You have to pick one hat and only wear that hat. Because if you go along, if somebody says to you, oh, hello, Richard, what do you do? It's going to take you probably half an hour to go through all of those in detail. So pick one, but do some research first, because for instance, if you decide you're going to, I don't know, a Chamber of Commerce event and you want to be promoting dance classes, promote dance classes, because there'll be a lot of business people there. And if you turn up wearing something wonderfully flamboyant and make a bit of an entrance and talk about dancing, that will get you noticed. So I see this too often. People go, well, I do this and this and this, and I've fallen for it sometimes. So pick one hat to wear and just focus on that, based on what you want to promote, but also who the audience is. So, yeah,
okay. No, thank you for that. I will have a look at it. Now, one of my favourite topics at the moment, and the thing that's going to take over the world and become Terminator, I'm pretty certain, is the wonderful world of AI. Now, in marketing, lots of people have said that marketeers like yourself in a few years' time won't even exist because AI will have taken over everything and do all your job for you. I'm guessing you used to hate AI and now I believe you quite like it.
Firstly, don't worry, it's not going to take over the world and it's not going to take over all our jobs. I actually spoke at an event 2.5 years ago, and I was asked to talk about marketing trends, and I spoke about AI. And I was really quite passionate then about how AI should not be used very much in marketing because you can't put any emotion into it. I now love AI, and I'm playing with all sorts of different ways of using it. You still have to be incredibly careful with it, and everything needs to be checked. But couple of examples. I use ChatGPT, who in my office we call him Charles, just for fun. So I use Charles as a search engine. I had a client here earlier in the week who's a photographer, and he said, I've been looking for events that I can go to where I can meet potential clients of a certain type. And he said, and I simply can't find them. So I went to Charles and said, please, can you give me a list of this type of event that this client who does this is looking for in the UK? And Charles came back with a list of about 10 events. You do have to be really clear and specific with the prompt that you're giving to any AI, and the more time you spend thinking about the prompt before you submit it, the better. So I was really clear with what the client does, what they're looking for, who they're looking for, geographic locations, and I crafted a paragraph. And as a result, we got a really great list. What Charles then said to me is, would you like XYZ? And I said, no, I don't need that, but what I do need is this. The clues in the name ChatGPT. Have conversations with these creatures, these AI tools. You can go back and say, I don't like that, but actually what I need is more of this. And look at the questions that Charles and the others ask you, because they're getting better at saying what more. So I'm using it much more as a search engine. I also use them. I had a fabulous conversation with a client yesterday who's a coach in Canada, and she is struggling to explain one of her services. It's a fabulous service. She's got some great people signed up for it, but she's still not sure about what it's all about. So we were on a Zoom call. I hit record. I'm going to give the transcript of that conversation to Charles and say, what do you think this service is about? What are the benefits? Who's it for? Give me some one-liners that we can use to promote it. Make sure you weave in some emotions, and I'm going to look and see what he comes back with. Now, I won't take what he sends me and give it to her. I will take it and go, okay, this works, this doesn't, tweak this, play with that. We'll keep going back and forth. Charles and I will bounce ideas back and forth until I'm happy with it. And I always make sure that we get enough emotion. We're going to talk a little bit about my latest book, which is all about the emotions behind why people buy. And I need to make sure I get plenty of that in. So those are just some examples of how I'm using it. But the key for me is the prompt. It's what you're asking for, what material you're putting in the first place. Oh, and with my client from yesterday, I will give Charles her existing website copy and say, this is what we've got at the moment. It's not good enough. So
no, it's a fascinating. I use ChatGPT a fair amount as well for a variety of different reasons, and I think the fact that you've given it a human name I find fascinating from an emotional perspective, in that you are creating a human out of it to some degree.
A little bit. My partner uses Perplexity, and she's called Camilla, so we have Charles and Camilla.
I did wonder why Charles, if I'm honest with you. But and it is getting better. On a daily basis. I have a phrase which I've been putting into every 6 months or so to see where it's at. Mm-hmm. So 2 years ago, I typed in, what are Richard and Zoe Beauvoisin like as dancers and teachers? So this is 2 years ago. Okay. 2 years ago, it came back with, who are Richard and Zoe Beauvoisin? Okay. I then put that in over a 6 month period, and I've got it in my diary to kind of do it every 6 months. It now comes up, when I ask it that question, it now comes up with an incredibly accurate description of what our teaching style is like, also what our dancing style is like, what our strengths and weaknesses are, and it knows. And I read it, I'm like, oh, that's really quite good.
It's a really good test to do, because when I gave that speech 2.5 years ago, it didn't know ChatGPT didn't know who I was, and yet I've been around for a while. And it was because the language models were being fed information at a not very fast rate. They're learning and developing, they're being fed more information. The more information that is out there available, the more they can feed off that. So yeah, if I now say to my favourite one, actually, I can't remember where I picked this up from, but if you say to something like ChatGPT, if you ask it to roast you and do not hold back, it is hysterical what it comes up with.
Really?
Yeah, Charles wrote about, I love writing in notebooks. I have a beautiful fountain pen. It's quite an old pen. She's called Flo. I have turquoise ink in her, and every time I use her, I end up with ink on my fingers. Charles knows this. Charles talked about my ink-stained fingers, and I'm like, how do you know this? It's scary. But it's very, very funny. And it couldn't have done that 2 years ago. So it's good to keep challenging them. What we do have to remember, though, is that AIs get it wrong. You can ask it questions and it'll go, oh, yeah, here's the answer. And sometimes it's just plain wrong. So it's worth testing that as well. And anything that you get it to write, if I ask him to write a web page for a client, I go through it with a fine tooth comb. I did it recently. I have a client who's a health and safety consultant, and I gave him a transcription of a conversation I'd had with one of the consultants, and said, write a page on this. And he'd added in other stuff because he thought, oh, yeah, health and safety, it's about this. And I'm like, they don't do that. Why did you put that in there?
Well, I mean, I've had a few people that are close to me talking about it, saying the downside to it is that it reflects a human race. And because the human race is in lots of ways racist, or lots of other things that the human race isn't very good at, ChatGPT will also therefore be those things too. Yes, and it feeds very much off what you give it. So if I gave it a document that is, I don't know, rude or badly written or racist, and said, is this a good document or not? It would probably come back going, yes, it is. Or if I said, is this a bad document? It would probably come back going, yes, it's a bad document. And this is why whatever we give to the systems is really, really important. Generally speaking, no, ChatGPT is not racist, because it doesn't necessarily understand racism. It's taking what you feed it. And I have seen cases where if you give it something and say, is this, yes, or is this that, it kind of agrees with you. So you have to be careful from that point of view. So in marketing then, you're basically using it as a tool, the same as you'd use a pen as a tool. Is that kind of where it sits for you?
Yeah, yes, it is. One of my clients that I did some writing for recently, I sent through some copy for their website, and they came back going, yeah, we love this, but you've used this particular phrase quite a lot. And because I was tired and I'm a bit lazy, I went to Charles, who's helped me write some of the material anyway, and said, look, we've used this phrase a lot. Please, can you suggest some alternatives? And he did. And I didn't like any of them. And I realised the prompt I'd given him wasn't good enough. So I went back and said, no, I didn't mean that. I meant this. And he's come back with 3 or 4 alternatives. So, yes, I use it. In the olden days, I'd have gone to the cupboard and got my thesaurus out. I have this great big chunky thesaurus in the cupboard along with an Oxford dictionary. And I'd have looked at that. So I'm using it in that sense. So, yeah, it's a digital version of a book or a person. And rather than saying to a freelance copywriter, could you write me this page, I can give it to Charles and say, can you write me this page? And we'll see what we come up with.
Well, in a couple of weeks' time, my good friend Ben Buttigieg, he's coming in. We're going to be chatting all about AI and all the different things. One of the things that he did talk to me about recently, just last bit on this, is that he kept himself awake recently on a journey home by having a full-on argument with ChatGPT and asking, because there's an audible version of it as well, not just the text version, to while he was driving, to purposefully have an argument with him, just to keep him awake, which I thought was quite fascinating. You've chosen the next track as well, Freya Riding's Castles. Why this one?
Why this one? Oh, I love her voice. There's something sort of a bit deep and moody about it, and I just love listening to her. And this one came up on my playlist, and when you said pick some tunes, it popped up. So
lovely. Back with Chantal after this. The last part now with Chantal Cornelius. I'm having a little chuckle. We were chatting off air, and then all of a sudden I realised the advert was just about to finish and we need to go live. So we're now going to be talking about your books that you've written. Okay.
Yes.
Now, we're talking about AI before, and you have a lovely name for the voice mode of ChatGPT. Tell me what that is.
We call him Chatty GPT. This is where you can just talk to ChatGPT rather than having to type it. And for some people who don't want to sit and have to type a prompt in, just chat to ChatGPT or Chatty GPT. Have a conversation with him.
Yeah, I do it when I'm driving quite regularly. Just it's like I'm having a chat with somebody in the car, which is quite useful. And I've made it a lady. Must be Camilla. Let's call it.
Yeah, she can be Camilla for you.
So 3 books you've written. First of all, why did you write a book in the first place?
I wrote the first one. I started writing a book called 1 in 10, which was about celebrating my first 10 years in business. When I was thinking about setting up a business all those years ago, I took a day off and I went to a 1-day course, 1 day to learn how to run a business. There were 10 of us there, and the tutor said, in 5 years' time, only one of you will still be in business. And I went, that's me, that'll be me. So I decided then I was going to be the 1 in 10, because an awful lot of businesses don't get off the ground. And that one was just, I was collecting a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom about marketing, but also all sorts about running businesses. So I wrote that one. I sat down and looked at the 4 biggest lessons or mistakes that I'd learned or made for each of the 10 years. So 1 in 10 is 10 chapters, one for each year, and it's the 4 key points from each year. So it's a real mixture, but it's aimed at people who are just starting out in business and or who haven't got to 10 years to help them get through 10 years. It was just a way of sharing advice, really.
And did you keep in contact with those people that went to that meeting with you? And did the other 9 businesses survive, or?
I didn't even think about keeping in touch with them, but I do know that some of them didn't even start up, because by the end of the day, there were a couple of people who were going, you know what, running a business isn't for me.
So a lot of people, sorry to interrupt, a lot of people think that running a business is you have all the time in the world and you just, you can go on holiday when you like, and, you're literally working part-time. Is that your experience of running a business?
It is now, but I've been doing it for 25 years. So no, not at all. It completely depends on the business that you're running and what you want out of it. Mine, Appletree, has always been a lifestyle business, and some people think that's a derogatory term. I don't. I run my business because it gives me the lifestyle I want. I get to go skiing for 4 weeks every year. We do 2 weeks at Christmas and 2 weeks in January, February. it allows me to sit in my office, which is in my garden, and later on I will be going riding because my horses are in a field next to my garden. So I can stop work, I can go and ride, I can come back and work later. It is hard work because when you're not working, you're not being paid unless you have an ongoing service that people still pay for on a monthly basis. So it can be hard work, but it's the setting up my business is the second best decision I've ever made, and I don't regret it. It's had its ups and downs, but I don't regret it.
Okay, so my obvious question in my head is, if that's the second best decision you've ever made, what was the first? If you can say it live on radio.
Yeah, I can say, because he won't be listening. Getting divorced.
Did you have a divorce party?
Well, yes and no. I sort of did, because I had a big party for my 50th birthday, which was also where we celebrated my business's 21st birthday. My 50th birthday was during COVID, so we couldn't have a party. So I delayed it, but I actually held it on the date that would have been my wedding anniversary.
Right.
So for me, it was a little bit of a divorce party.
And you look like you enjoyed that remarkably.
I did. I love parties. I'm already planning. I've just had a big one for my business's 25th, and I'm already planning the next party, which has got nothing to do with business.
Okay.
But yeah, I love having parties.
Fabulous. So that was your first book. What was your second book then?
The second book is called Magnetic Marketing, and that one is the 9-stage marketing planning process that I first was introduced to back in my very first job in marketing, and I've adapted it a lot since then. It's a workbook. It's a process that I take all of my new clients through. For my mentoring clients, I actually send them a copy of the book and say, work on the first 4 chapters. We talked earlier about strategy before tactics, and the first 4 chapters about the strategic elements of marketing, the questions that you need to be able to answer, like the questions I asked you about how many dancers are you looking for, what marketing's worked, all of that. So that's that book. It is a workbook. I get people to work through it. We then go through it in more detail, and then it also introduces the ABC of marketing, which is the simple way of doing it.
So remind everybody what the ABC of marketing is then.
A is ask for referrals. B is business networking, which also includes speaking and podcasts and radio shows. And C is content.
Fabulous.
Those are the only 3 you ever need.
And I'm guessing that all of these books are available on Amazon and other bad book places as well.
They are. I'm not sure about 1 in 10. I'm not sure how many copies. I know I actually have a box of them under my desk.
Okay.
Because I've been using that box as a footrest for about 10 years. But if anyone wants them, you can. It's actually easier to order them from my website. Because I send them out straight away. So.
And do remind everybody of your website while we're there.
appletreeuk.com.
Grand. Now you've got another book as well, so you didn't just stop at 2. Now I mentioned earlier that my wife is listening, and I know that she's counting down the time until I can start talking about my book. But I'm going to hang off for as long as I possibly can. So tell me about your third book.
Okay, third book is the one of which I am the most proud. It's called Standout Strategies. It took 9 years of research and reading and writing and tearing up the writing and rewriting until it came out just about a year ago. I started noticing 10 years ago that particularly coaches and consultants, if I said to them, what makes you different to your competitors? They all told me the same. They all used the same phrases. So they're all trying to be different, but in the same way. And I thought there's got to be a better way to do this. So I started researching and reading, and that led me down the route of understanding that as humans, we buy on emotion. We buy because we want something. I want to learn to dance. I want to go and have a fun experience in a silly pair of shoes. I want to go and listen to some fabulous music. I don't need to learn to dance. I want to. I want to go and have some fun. And from that, I identified 5 different strategies that I call the standout strategies. And it's not about trying to use all of them. It's about working out as a business which one of those 5 is the best one for you. And I did a load of research and digging into the emotions that go with each strategy. And I brought people in to help me with that. And we've developed a test, which is on my website, that you can go and take for free, and it will send you a little report that says, this is the strategy to use for your business. Richard, do this at some point. Go onto my website and take the test for your dance business, because I think I know which one it is, because I have an annoying habit of being able to work out which strategy it is for most businesses. And people were then saying to me, well, how do I work it out? And that's where we developed the test, and that's been through lots of iterations. And I'm collecting all the data from that and still studying that. So that's what Standout Strategies is all about. And it's what I'm all about. It's about helping people to simplify marketing and give them more confidence to be able to stand up and say, this is what makes me different. This is what makes my business the best dance class to go to.
I mean, I look at marketing, and I do spend quite a lot of money on it, and there's nothing worse than thinking I've effectively just got a £20 note and set fire to it. And I think a lot of marketing is like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, and sadly, there are still too many people who go back to the old quote that we have no idea who first said it. The person who said the problem with marketing is half of it doesn't work, but you don't know which half. Actually, these days, we do know which half because we can measure, but there are still too many people out there who think they have to spend a lot of money on marketing for something to work, and you don't. Particularly when you sell a service, people are buying on emotion. It's different if you're buying a book or some chewing gum or a mug. You don't necessarily buy on emotion, although when I buy chocolate, it's a very emotional decision. But when you're buying a service like marketing, like dancing, we are buying on emotion, and our brains are making irrational, emotional decisions before our conscious brain then goes, okay, this is actually what we need to do. There's an awful lot of underlying emotional stuff going on. And when we can tap into the emotions, and how you talked earlier about you want to make people feel happy when they come to a dance class, we can't actually make anybody feel anything. You can help them to feel happy. And when you tap in more to the emotions that your dancers want to feel, then they'll keep coming back and they'll keep recommending you.
Yeah, I feel it's my duty, genuinely my duty, to make as many people happy as I can. Thank you so much for today. It's been fascinating. The time's gone by so quickly. It's unbelievable.
We talked about your book, Richard.
I know, and my wife will be chuckling to herself in the car. She really will. But I will squeeze it in at another point with another guest, no doubt. That is the case. You've chosen the last track, Thursday by Jess Glynn. Why is that one?
Thursday by Jess Glynn. She talks about I don't wear makeup on Thursday because who I am is enough. And this is the song that reminds me to tell my little gremlin to shut up, get off my shoulder. I am good enough. I've been doing this long enough. I know what I'm talking about. And if it inspires other people to go, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm good enough too, then hooray.
Fabulous. I'm back next week between 10 and 12 with one of my favourite people in the world, Dr. Ashish Bhatia. We're going to be talking all about surfing stress. That's next week between 10 and 12. Thank you, Chantal.
I won't wear
Thank you,
makeup
Richard.
on
It's time for
Thursday.
Jess. Have a great weekend.
I'm sick of covering up. I'm tired of feeling so broken. I'm tired of falling in love. Sometimes I'm shy and I'm anxious. Sometimes I'm down on my knees. Sometimes I try to embrace all my insecurities. So I won't wear makeup on Thursday, 'cause who I am is enough. And then